Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Raising Our Gifted Children right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. My guest today is Dean Nichols. He wrote a book for his children or his grandchildren, and it's a book that I've bought. I'm going to show it to you right now because my son loves cars and my grandson loves cars and he loves reading, and this is just perfect. Tucker and the Snowcat. So we're going to be talking about his books today and why he wrote them. What is the message behind it? So he wanted to share his love for the outdoors and interest in the environment, and children can be empowered by reading about children's adventures that leads them on many activities and adventures. He's done many things in his life, but after getting an undergraduate degree in European history, he got an MBA and licensed certified public accountant. Starting out, he worked for several technology jobs, managed 10, or is it 16 attorney law firms?
16, yeah.
Wow. And taught accounting at the community college. But he finally took a leap and opened up his own business developing and managing self-storage facilities. But after retiring, he wanted to stay active and thought it'd be fun to write a book for his grandchildren. And the whole family skis, so this prompted him to undertake the first book, Tucker, the Snowcat. And that is when he went looking for an illustrator, an author, and found Annette Zach. And after success, the first book, he decided to write another one called Float Sam and Jet Sam and Other Beach Treasures. So we're going to be talking about these books today, but also talking so much about the importance of children having books, of reading. This is a theme. We have another show this week on that. And we can never have too many on the importance of reading and how it sparks the imagination, but also the wonderful gift of the grandparent or the parent or whoever is reading to the child. It's a wonderful bonding experience. It takes the child on their adventure. And I think it's a good reminder to us to step into a little bit of adventurism ourselves. So welcome to the show, hon. Delighted to have you here.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate you having me. It's great.
Well, I'm always going, because of grandchildren, because of children, and just because I'm a children's advocate altogether. I do feel that books are a wonderful way of empowering and igniting the imagination of children. And when you can take them on an adventure, it shows them that nothing is off limits. As big as they can dream, they can seek it and search for it. And it's so illuminating to see a child kind of get immersed into a story and get excited about it.
Yeah,
Is this what you had the fun with your grandchild that you thought, I'm going to do
yeah,
this?
for sure. I had lots of fun with my grandchild and also my child. I have
Mhm.
one child, Chris, who's I started reading him when my wife was pregnant. So, we've been reading to him for years, I think till about 10 years old. And then he said, "Okay, Dad, that's enough.
I
You
can
don't
read on
need to
my
read
own.
to me anymore. Yeah, I can read on my own." But
Yeah,
it
well,
was
hurry
really
up and get
fun.
married and have kids so I can read to them, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we did that. They did that, and I've got grandchildren, and we used to live in Sun Valley, Idaho. So we skied a lot, and we're outdoors in the snow a lot, and it was so much fun. And the kids, they started skiing, and so I thought it would during the pandemic. I guess we decided that. Let's write a book. And so we did Tucker the Snowcat, which Sun Valley had a Tucker snow machine, which was an old 1940s machine, and they'd bring it out every year and put it on a snow pedestal. And so I took some pictures of that. And then when I got together with Annette, she did the drawings from from those pictures. So it was a lot of fun, and yeah, we had some success with it, and then we decided to write another one. So
And the snow truck. I mean, they watch, especially wherever they are, where there's a lot of snow, and they see the plowers coming along. But
Hmm.
like this one has got character.
Yeah.
When you look at the ones today, they can just put something in front of a truck and shovel thing. But this one's got character. And when you do look at the old vehicles, they seem to have a personality, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And Tucker is an actual company. They make snowcats, and I so on the cover of the book, you'll see a registration, trademark
Hmm.
registration. And I had to do that because I talked to the president of Tucker Snowcats and talked to him about doing the book, and I had a nice conversation. They bought a bunch of books for their customers, and it was really nice, and but it was kind of an aspect of it that was different than most children's books have to go through. But I wanted to tie it to the machine that was in Sun Valley, which a lot of places, a lot of different ski places and snowmobile places have these Tucker machines. So it was fun that way.
Yeah, and kind of you're reflecting on Sun Valley and the environment that you live in, but for a child reading this anywhere else, they're going to adjust it to where they live in,
Sure.
right? So, and that's the beauty of
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
I like, this is a story of overcoming limitations and finding success. The story tale tells the tale of Tucker and an older, smaller snowplow who rescues two young kids who are trapped up in the mountains after an avalanche separates them from their parents and the winter lodge. He's an older snowplow, but due to his small size and impressive determination, he's able to traverse difficulty terrain. And while the newer one was larger, snowplows can't access. He must find the kids, Elisa and Graham, and bring them back to safety. And it's that excitement of the overcoming. Yet you're never too old,
Hmm.
right? You're never too obsolete. And that although we rely on the latest and the biggest, the shiniest, that sometimes the good old reliable works. And,
Well, it was
that's,
smaller. With
yeah,
Tucker was smaller and could get into this area that the kids were at to rescue them. And the bigger snowplows, the snowplows they sell today are huge.
yes.
They're all laser controlled and
Mm.
very complicated machines. But so this kind of brought it down to a personal level.
Yeah. And kind of, like we're in a society that when something's 2 or 3 years old, we toss it out and get a new.
Yeah.
And we don't repair, I want something new. And it's like, well, what's wrong with the other? Just put some maintenance into it and it'll keep on going, right? And
Yeah.
so
Right.
I think it teaches children that we don't always have to throw out the old, that everything has a purpose and that, respect that.
Yeah, very much so. And Tucker kind of fits that view of things. He's the one in Sun Valley, Idaho. They've maintained it since the 1940s. It still works and operates, and they do use it for some things. But I think it was a great story, and I think there's lots of communities that are winter oriented. They're in the mountains and
Mhm.
so forth, and they don't have a story like this that appeals directly to them. And so that's kind of what I gleaned from living in Sun Valley, that there was certainly a market for these kids that are young and in those kind of communities.
It represents. That's the
Yeah.
thing. You're representing an area that isn't perhaps talked about or is not addressed. But then for kids who may never see snow,
Yes.
I don't
Right.
even know what
Right.
an avalanche is. It's like
Right.
vicariously through this story, it's like that can happen,
Yeah.
and then it takes them. That's the whole beauty of a book, right? It can take us anywhere.
Yes. You can talk to people thousands of years previous to you and
Yeah.
communicate with.
And that's
So
the beauty of it. So
yeah.
for some kids, it's relatable because it's
Yeah.
their backyard, and for other kids, it's something that they really, what, there's an avalanche? What's an avalanche? So
And they want to go find snow, see
right.
snow, and go in the
Yes,
mountains.
yes,
So
yes.
yeah.
We recently had snow here, and my grandson, my um, son-in-law would go outside and pick up the snow and bring it into the ball, and then he'd make little mountains out of it for his cars to drive over. So I know he's going to love this book. So
I have a friend that lives in Switzerland, and she bought the book for her son, and she said that she couldn't get it away from him.
Mm.
He said, "Mom, I just want to go in and read it."
Yes.
So go in his bedroom and read it.
You know
So
when
it
a
was
book
good.
is exciting when they want you to read it over and over and over again,
Again,
right?
yeah,
And then they can recite it to you
yeah.
because it's had that kind of impact.
Well, I still read to my grandkids. They're 8 and 5 now, and the 5-year-old still is in the range that this Tucker the Snowcat fits.
Hmm.
The 8-year-old is sort of moving away from that, and Flotsam and Jetsam is for a little older age group, so
Hmm.
that probably fits her better. But I still read to them, and when I go visit them at their house, they always bring out the two books and want me to read them. So it's really nice. I wallow
Proud
in that.
grandchildren.
Yeah, really, it's wonderful.
Oh, I
Very
mean, we're
fun.
always looking at what legacies we can leave our kids,
Oh yeah,
right? There's always
for
something,
sure.
we want to leave them. But yeah, I mean, you're the second grandpa I've come across that wrote for the grandkids,
Oh yeah.
and so and just the sheer joy of seeing the
Uh,
grandkids, get a
yeah,
kick out of it and knowing
yeah,
grandpa has written it and then seeing how successful the books are, because you primarily wrote it for your grandkids and then, find out there's an awful lot of other kids that like it
Uh,
too.
yeah. It's great, and it's been a fun ride for me. It's been something I've done in retirement, so it's great. Been great.
I mean, COVID has brought out so many beautiful writers and people that have redirected. It's absolutely great.
Mm.
Um, and this is it wasn't wasted time, which is really nice. Um, but I think showing a different view of life is so important. Our children learn through their imagination.
Mhm.
And what we're inclined to see nowadays is people just hand their kid the phone or a tablet. And like
Mhm.
now and again, okay,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
not all the time. Rather take the time to
right.
read to your child and instill the joy of reading so that when they can read on their own, they're going to enjoy those books, those tangible, tactile, turn the page books, right? There's something about that
Yeah,
that's so good.
and and it's a lifetime thing.
Mm.
I still read a lot. I read probably a couple books a month, so it's something I like to do, and my grandkids like to do as well. Now they're starting to read on their own, and so it's fun to see that development occur for them. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
And I think, for some people, it's a form of escapism away from their day. For some people, it's a form
Mm-hmm.
of discovery,
Mm-hmm.
but I always love it, when you read a book and you can feel yourself in the book.
Yeah,
You pick a character that becomes you and you are actually going on the journey.
yeah,
But I think the expansion of imagination, the expansion of what is possible
uh,
that comes through books, I think really becomes something for children that the sky, isn't the limit. The universe
yeah,
is the limit,
exactly,
that
exactly.
willing to explore. And so I
Yeah.
think a lot of adults have lost that. They've lost the sense of wonderment and
Mhm.
exploration. And I think instilling that in our child to always want to keep exploring is really important.
Well, I think it really helps, especially young children. They learn to read, and then they can explore the world through books. And the more they read, the more interesting they are, and become. So it's great to watch them do that development and become these readers that are. It's just exciting to see.
And then, to learn how to converse about it.
Right,
I read
right,
this and this story, that, and then, tell me all about it.
yeah,
And then, in their own beautiful little words, they, come about of what they get out of it. And there's always such excitement on their face because they're telling you the story now. And I think that is, it's a wonderful connector thing. Whether you're reading to
yeah,
the child's reading on their own and sharing the story,
yeah.
it becomes that wonderful connection.
And they always surprise you with something they've read, and they
Mm,
tell you about something you've never heard of, and you think, "Wow, that's
mm.
that's kind of interesting," and get you involved in their
Yes.
reading, which is different than yours. So it's
Oh,
fun.
my grandson has been read to, both of them, but one is 9 months, but the other one has been read to since he was in the womb.
Yeah,
And right from the word go, books have been there. And now he's got to the stage, he's not 3 yet, he'll be 3 late March. But certain books, he turns the pages and tells you the story completely,
good.
almost word for word. He can't read the words,
Yeah,
but
he just memorized
he's
the.
memorized the story. And it's like
Yeah,
and there's a page, and my daughter is looking at her husband going, like,
he's
look what he's
reading.
doing. He's reading, yeah. And of course, the letters haven't quite, obviously, he's not 3 yet, but just
Mm,
that sheer joy.
Yeah.
and now telling us the story,
Mhm.
it's which I think is wonderful because it allows them to not only think creatively, but to act on that creation.
Yeah. I had to get rid of some stuff coming on my computer. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Um, anyway, yeah, it's and I think Flotsam and Jetsam is for a little age group, a little older age group. Tucker the Snowcat, I wrote for maybe from even 1 year old or even less,
Yeah.
up to about 5, maybe 6. And then Flotsam and Jetsam is a little older group. I'd say maybe from 3 or 4 to maybe 8 or 9. And that's kind of how I envision it anyway. And Flotsam and Jetsam it has to do with kind of the Northwest beaching. I saw my grandkids. We live in the summer. We have a summer place on the water, so there's always rocks to turn over and seaweed to find, and there's stuff floating in flotsam and things that they can discover on the beach. And it's so much fun to watch how they do that. They have little aquariums and they put stuff in them, and it's just wonderful. And so I was trying to capture that in Flotsam and Jetsam, and it's uh, it's just fun to see how they take to it and use it. So
But
it's
but what's so neat is the fact that, some people just observe their grandchildren, they have fun with them, and they go back to their lives until they see them next time. But they've left a mark on you,
mhm,
right? And
yeah, for
they've
sure.
kind of, this obviously COVID was the gift, that gets, oh, let's write a book, right? But it's how just through their sheer joy of play. Right. And this is
Yes.
something that we forget as adults, right? Sheer
Yeah.
joy, simple
Yeah.
joys. And their simple joys, imaginations, how it's rubbed off on you for you to then
Yeah.
write a book for them.
Well, I usually go down to the beach and help them discover stuff and explain things to them, and then I'll sit on a log and they'll bring stuff to me. What's this, or whatever. And so that's so much fun.
Hmm.
So
So, I mean, once you've sparked this, every writer I've ever known is like, yes, there's another book at the back of my head wanting to come out. So, have they sparked another one in you that goes, oh, I've got to write that?
well, I don't know. I've been trying to market the books I've got and get them up and on their own, and that's been keeping me busy for a while. But I do have some ideas. I always write down some different concepts that we have and talk it over with Annette, my co-author on the books, and we've talked about uh, similar words, like finding the language that's similar, where the words are the sound the same, but they're
Mm,
different.
mm.
So I don't know how I'm going to do that effectively. So I'm still working on that, and I've got a couple other ideas for books um, that might come out here in the next year or so.
Great. Yes, keep on rolling them out.
Yeah.
It is, as they said, when a parent or grandparent or anybody, the babysitter, whoever is reading to the child, you're getting a kick out of what the child is getting out of it. But very, very often, I think it's a wonderful reminder for an adult to see life differently.
Mhm.
Because we do get bogged down with day to day, and then we
Oh
forget
yeah.
simple joys, we forget how to play, we take things too seriously. And like,
Yes.
sometimes kind of playing with our kids and reading with our kids, it kind of brings the inner kid of us, of our own coming out and
Sure.
we go, I forgot how wonderful play is, or just reading
Yeah.
a book
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Play or reading, either one, and it involves you in their lives, and all
Mm,
of a sudden you're somebody that they are asking questions at and interacting with. So it's positive in a whole bunch of ways. So I my grandkids have been the best. They've been just really fun.
right. Bring out that spark in you. And I have
Yeah.
somebody else on this week, Joanne, and she talks about the scientific proof of how reading to your child, even right from the womb, how it
Yeah.
stimulates brain growth.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just their imagination.
Yeah.
It helps them navigate through life and expand that brain,
Yeah.
because you're igniting it.
You were talking about your grandchild
Hmm.
that doesn't really read, but
Yeah.
that he knows the stories, and
Yes.
so he'll be reading in no time.
Yeah, exactly. But we, again, another absolute fact that if you put your kids in front of a phone and a tablet for an extended of time, it actually damages the brain and the memory,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that there are some long-term effects for children that have not neurologically developed because of it.
Sure.
And good old simple snuggling up with the child, bedtime on the couch, wherever
Oh,
you are, and
yeah.
opening up a book and reading.
Yeah.
Or all those times when they're a little bit riled up, let's read a book and calm down,
Hmm. Yeah.
and they're still in play,
Uh-huh.
right? But it's a calmer play and just taking them off on a different adventure. So
Yeah.
it is essential that we read to our children and we teach them the love of books.
Well, I usually read at night, and it's a chance to cuddle with them, and they ask questions about the book, and it's just a real good bonding time for
Mhm.
adults and children. It's great.
Yeah. Back in our day, I don't know about you, but I was a mother of three and most of the time kind of on my own. So I was the one
Mm.
always getting them to bed and doing everything. I didn't really have that time,
Yeah.
to spend that time. I used to make up stories for them, incorporating them in the story of what went on today, and but make it a story. So, I told them stories because that's what I had time for.
Hmm.
But I think that today there's a lot more emphasis on reading to your child right from the womb and keeping that reading going,
Hmm. Hmm.
and letting them even act out the book in some way. Whatever they're reading, they want to kind of copy or do something. With obviously, if you're in the sunshine and they're reading about snow, it's going to be a little hard to create some snow. But
Yeah.
that's when
Well,
you
that's where
use a
your
white sheet, right, to
yeah.
say this is the snow.
Well, that's where your imagination comes in. You got to make them think in their brain that they're
Hmm.
around snow, and my son and daughter-in-law do a really good job too of reading to the grandkids, and so it's and they're smart as can be. It helps them develop their brain, and they're good. They're better at everything: math, reading,
Yeah,
everything, writing, and it
yeah.
is wonderful, wonderful
It's
exercise.
definite an excellent brain development. But
Yeah.
like in Tucker and the Snowcat, you've got these kids have been separated from the parents in an avalanche.
Mm.
And that obviously is incredibly traumatic that
Yeah.
children are separated. Ava, an avalanche, we've recently had people die in avalanches here in Canada because it happens every year.
Yeah.
And then we had people that got rescued, thank goodness. But it's the dangers of it, and then what to do if they get separated. And
Hmm.
like, will mummy and daddy find me? Well, Snowcat found them, and I think it's like maybe even a subliminal lesson in that stuff may happen in life, but don't worry, somebody's going to come and get you. Somebody's going to
Yes.
rescue you, and that kind of reassurance. Because
Yeah.
for a child, when anything goes wrong, it's very fearful for them because it's unknown.
Yeah.
So
I think that's in children's book. They have to have happy endings
yes.
because that's otherwise you frighten them, or
Hmm.
then they won't do things that you want them to do. I think the being in the snow and on the beach and those kinds of things are super fun and something you can do with your children and grandchildren. And you don't want to deter that in any way or make them fearful of it, or uh,
Yeah.
so I think that that was one of the worries in writing Tucker the Snowcat. I didn't want to scare them, but I wanted to have success, that they
Yeah.
would be rescued, and Tucker
And
got
hope.
accolades for
Right.
doing the job.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, I think I don't know about you, but I remember, I think one of my first movies was Pinocchio.
Oh yeah.
And the scene with the monk, the children turning into monkeys, right?
Mm,
And I
yeah.
remember coming out of that cinema crying, what about the little boys? Are they going to be turning back? And then there was a remake, which was really good. And that monkey scene came up again. And I realized how much it traumatized me because immediately come up, you got to turn them back. And we think about the movies that we saw back then, or, Hans
Mm,
Christian and all the
mhm,
things. And it's like,
mm.
they terrified us.
Oh, that's true too. But I like that in older kids, maybe, but the
Yeah.
younger kids, you got to have some happy endings that show how people care about each other and do good
Solutions
things.
too.
Yeah, right,
Right?
exactly.
It's like, something may happen. have hope, believe, and then
Mm-hmm.
what actions can you take in order
Mm-hmm.
to resolve? So you're teaching children, don't stand powerless, right?
Yes.
What can you do? How are you
Mm-hmm.
empowered to do something
Mm-hmm.
and find a solution to the problem? Which I think then it's like for a kid, oh, okay, I can do that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's teaching them skills of how to work out a problem,
Mm-hmm.
which is
The other thing
important.
I think is so great about books, as I mentioned before, is that you can understand somebody's mind who lived hundreds of years before
Mm,
you, and I think once you get a child reading and the discovery process that reading brings, you can develop that sense of, you know, people thought about these things long
yeah.
time ago, and that's such a wonderful aspect of reading, I think.
Yes. I think it's also a form of almost respect of, of what people had to do with, deal with in the back, and then how much we have it easier today.
Hmm.
And that,
Sure.
when they see, I walked through the snow in my pajamas 10 miles to go to school, that type of thing. That, and
It
then,
was uphill both
uphill
ways.
all the way, exactly, in a blizzard, the whole thing. And
Yeah.
the kids just hop in the parents' car and get dropped off and get picked up. And it's like learning to be grateful for what you have today because the road has been paved by people who didn't have
Sure.
it. And
Exactly.
and I think that example, because we have so many kids that just kind of are demanding for more, more, more. All
Hmm.
right. And it's where's your gratitude
Hmm.
for the people who paved the way? You've got the cell phone, you wanted to do this and that. Well, what about the people that invented the cell phone? That all the people that are a long way that you just think are old and arcade and should be farmed out, that you wouldn't have this without
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And so I think that reflection on history
Hmm.
being taught in our children, it teaches them appreciation of what they have today.
I had a friend I was talking to the other day, and I don't know, somebody was complaining about something, and I was playing tennis, and they were complaining about something that happened, and the guy said, "Well, let's see, you've got a roof over your head, and you've got running water, and you've
Yes.
even got electricity."
Hmm.
It was like, and he was from China, so he really
Yes.
knew the situation in other countries and other environments that were quite different from our own experiences. And it kind of brought home to me the fact that, we're very fortunate in thousands of ways. So
Yes.
that's a
And
good
I think
lesson.
it needs to be a reminder to our children. It does.
Yes,
Because,
exactly.
we give them so much more than necessary. But it's teaching them how to just enjoy a cardboard box and making it
Hmm.
into something. Not just for the cat, which cats
Yeah.
love cardboard boxes, but putting wheels on it, making it into a vehicle or whatever. But it's if it all comes too easy to them, then they have no appreciation
Hmm.
of how it got there. And I think appreciation and gratitude definitely needs to be taught within our
And that
children.
and that problem solving aspect
Yeah,
of it, how am I going to do? What am I going to do with this? How am I going to make it fun for myself and others, my friends? So that requires a little imagination and
MacGyver it.
MacGyver, yeah.
And
They have
shows like
MacGyver in Canada.
oh yeah, 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 both series, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're just showing, with just the things around you, with the right knowledge and the right
Hmm.
imagination, you never know what you can create. Instead of
Yes.
saying, "Oh, it's broken, go and get me a new one." Well,
Hmm.
how can you take this and that and this and create something
Hmm.
new? And I think that is, um, it's so rewarding,
Yes,
for the
it is.
kid when you're like, "Look what I did, look what I
Yeah,
achieved."
yeah,
Well, if we just bought you a new one, you wouldn't have had that
yeah.
self-gratification of actually achieving something. We would have been robbing it from you.
That's so worrisome. I think kids get so much stuff.
Yes,
It's Christmas is a bonanza of
I know.
presents and things, and it's hard to get your head around it even. But
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think all of this is really important that we do remind our kids of that. And, nature is a
mhm,
wonderful, wonderful lesson. And, getting out in nature as much as you can and paying attention to, the rustle of the wind in the trees and,
yeah,
squirrels running up
yeah,
and having your kids ask questions or even asking them a question for them to be inquisitive and learning to actually understand that without nature, we wouldn't be here. So you know, the more we actually immerse them about the world and what's been provided for them, I think the better they grow up.
I've been fortunate to be outdoors most of my life and
Mm.
doing stuff, and so I try to instill that in my son Chris and also in the grandkids Eliza and Graham, and so it's it's a big part of our lives, and like you said, it's away from screens and
Mhm.
internets and all those kinds of things, which are wonderful in some ways, but awful in others. And
Yes.
if you get them out onto a trail hiking or skiing or uh, on the beach finding stuff, it's a wonderful activity.
Healthy for the mind,
Healthy.
heart, body, and
Yeah.
soul. It's healthy.
Yes.
And again, that appreciation, you know, they want to
Mhm.
go back and do that again. And it's just a bucket and spade and what you can put in it.
Yeah.
But it, you know, it's again, it just shows them again with their
Yeah.
imagination what they can
Yeah.
create.
We take them crabbing and do all kinds of fun stuff, so I think that really broadens them, and they all of a sudden they want to go crabbing themselves, and they
Yes.
figure out how to do it, and it's great.
Hmm. I mean, we are the example for our children.
Oh,
And, you know,
exactly.
if they're seeing us work 24/7 and, you know, that we don't have time for ourselves, never mind them,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
what's that
right.
teaching them? You know,
Yeah.
it's okay to put the computer down, the phone
Mhm.
down. I mean, I'm at the 7 hours a day when I'm home, when I'm with my grandchildren. You know, I get on it in the morning to do my emails while they're eating breakfast, and then when they're napping, I go and do some work. Otherwise, no, it's no
Yeah,
computer at all. And,
yeah.
you know, what are we going to do today? Where are we going to go?
You have a busy life, Sarah.
I have a very busy life, yes. Yeah. I'll actually
Mm.
be moving soon so that I can look after my one grandson because daycare is so hard.
Yeah.
So he's soon going to age out of where he is, and until he can age into another one, I'm going to be looking after him. And so it will be different play groups,
Hmm.
you know, playing with things and
Hmm.
going on adventures. And this was something very interesting. We count trucks when he loves
Hmm.
coming in grandma's car. So we
Yeah.
count trucks, how many trucks, big truck, little truck, you know.
Hmm.
And one day we're driving, he goes, Grandma, no trucks. And I go, yeah, I wonder why not. And I go, oh, it's Saturday. Oh, yeah, they're with family.
That's a great start.
So it's just those little games. Remember I
Yeah,
Spy with my
yeah,
little eye, you know,
yeah.
little things like that.
Well, my grandson Graham, I take pictures with him of trucks and an ice cream truck and
Mm.
a log truck and the cement truck and all these different ones, and we put together a book for him
Ah,
of
nice.
all these pictures and things. So it was really fun,
Well,
and
my
he got
grandson
involved
probably
in.
has about 50 cars, little dinky cars,
Oh yeah, mine
and
too.
so,
Mine
you know,
too.
I bought him this thing that opens out into a huge, big,
Hmm.
long ramp, and then it can close up with, you know,
Hmm.
as a car carrier. And of course, you know, so much fun. I mean, he can play for hours with cars, traffic jam, parking them, crashing them, you
Yeah,
know, everything.
yeah.
So,
And
um,
they come with a gene that makes the noises for the
yeah,
truck. The
yes,
granddaughter doesn't do that.
yes.
The grandson does. He's
Yes,
got all
yes.
the
And it is
engine
funny, isn't it?
noises.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yes. Yeah, and he likes making all the noises that go with
yeah,
it, or likes us to make the noises with it.
sure.
Um, but I think this is play and reading to our children and taking them out into nature. Also, sitting down and just having a conversation with them,
Hmm.
right? You know,
Very
whatever
much.
level they're at, or whatever their language is out at, you
Hmm.
know, it's having a chat, maybe over Slack
Hmm.
time or this or that. And I think one of the things that we're seeing so much today with, you know, texting is that you will see four people sitting around a table
And
and
not
everybody's
talking.
texting one another instead of talking with one another. And it's like,
Uh,
yikes, man,
yeah.
yikes. You know, so teach your kids to have a conversation with each other, you know.
They're sitting 2 feet apart and texting each
Yeah,
other.
I don't get it.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's
I think my
crazy.
age
Yeah.
is showing. I don't get
Yeah.
it. You know, give your thumb a rest, you know.
Mhm.
There's a
Right.
person, a human being opposite you. How about you talk about something,
Yeah.
you know?
I
Um,
think it's easier talking to kids when they're younger. And
mm,
when they get those 15, 16,
yeah.
17, 18, it's more difficult. But I think that you can lay some groundwork in talking with them in in reading to them.
Mm,
You get that cuddle time, and
yes.
they sit on your lap or beside you, and then you talk about things, and you say, "Oh yeah, that's the butterfly," and you explain what that is and
Yeah.
how, you know, and then that translates, I think, to some extent to when they get older, you have that connection that they can still talk to you. And sometimes it's hard, what'd you do in school today? And, oh, nothing.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I call it the Exorcist era when a head used to turn around. You
yeah,
know, like they become totally different people at certain
yeah.
teens. It's like, who are you? Are you my child? You know? And then they kind of get out into the world. And as the more they experience the world, and of course, especially when they have children, then they turn around and go, my daughter said when she had her first grandson, Mom, how did you do it with three? And I said, I don't know. I just did it. That's the
Yeah,
thing. We just got on and did whatever we needed to do in the moment.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
ask me how, we just did it. And
yeah.
that I think that's they are going to go off and want to be with their peers more. They are going to
Hmm.
go off and experiment and challenge life.
Hmm.
But generally
With
they'll come back to that
Yeah,
conversation.
early 20s, it kind of turns back again.
Yes.
They want to talk to you again and
Yeah.
find out about stuff that they're interested in now. So it changes, but
Yeah, it's little
that's
reflections, the things that you've taught them along the way suddenly come up
sure.
and they see,
Yeah,
right? And
for
a
sure.
reminder, which is important. So,
Yeah.
yes, your kid's going to, we've got what we call the terrible twos, and then we have the teens twos when they
Uh-huh.
go become a tantrum child again in the teens, and it's like just weather the storm, boundaries, 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 respect,
Hmm. Hmm.
but weather the storm and throw different books at them to read. Yeah.
Well, that's a good outlet for sure. But at that age, if you can get them reading
Yeah.
early, they'll continue doing it. I think
Yeah.
generally that's true.
Yes.
So that's the hope.
That's the hope. Yes. We've got more and more small bookstores going because they can't keep up with the giants.
Hmm.
But there's something about taking your kid to the bookstore and going through the books and then looking at one and trying one out. Which one do you want? It's the same
Hmm.
thing by taking them to the library,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
they do with my grandson, and he goes and picks out of 4 or 5 books for the week, and it's exciting for him,
Yeah.
right? Of which book to
Yeah.
have and to
Yeah.
learn how to respect that book because it's got to go back. It's not yours,
Hmm.
no torn
Hmm.
pages. There's all
Hmm.
these lovely little lessons in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I'm going to do a something at a bookstore in Ketchum, Idaho, in March. So kind of looking forward to that too. I hope
Yeah.
people bring their kids with them
Yes. Yes,
and
that's the point. Bring your kids, the
yeah,
kid
yeah,
inside of you and your actual kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
Get them hooked on books. That's
Yes.
the
And,
best thing.
I do podcasting, but of course I do now what I call podcast books. When we've got a book coming out 20th of February
Mhm.
called Our Forgotten Children book series.
Yeah.
And it's several people that have contributed their chapter into where we're going wrong with our children. Why
Mhm.
our children are growing up to be so violent or in such depression and completely lost. It's because we've
Mhm.
let them down how we've brought them up. We haven't brought them up to be engaged, to
Mhm.
be inquisitive, to be in touch with themselves. And so, we're reaping what we've sown, and we need to change the system radically, and the way we raise our children. And I think,
Yeah.
it's back to, in certain ways, back to those basics of reading, appreciating, learning by hands-on and
Yeah.
participating, but also
I,
teaching respect.
right. I used to tell my son, in order to be interesting, you have to be interested.
Yes.
And so you have to engage with
Yeah.
people and things and activities, and that's what makes you interesting. And then people come to you because they want to know you, they want to share your ideas and that kind of thing. So I've always told my son that it's worked out pretty well. He's an interesting guy.
It's no, that's very, very poignant because if you're always abstaining and going to your tablet, your phone, and everything else, and you think that's interaction, it isn't.
Yeah.
And then you can't actually converse with anyone that's standing in front of you, and you're not
Hmm.
interesting because you're not interested. That absence of who you are as a person, the essence of who you are, is kind of
Yeah.
the one-way street down to being lost. So
Yeah.
we have to be engaged in life, and I think teaching children, it's just like You know, they're running, they fall down, they get an owie, you kiss it better, put a band-aid on, and off they go again, right? So it's
Yeah, right.
life lessons in the way of how to ride the lessons. You know, like here, avalanche, right? An avalanche, and then are they going to be safe? Where's mommy and daddy? And here comes the truck to get them. And
Mhm.
that's the thing, is that you're going to come across things that are fearful. But how are you going to handle it? And the more we
Yeah.
teach our children to think outside the box, that there isn't even a box, you're right, and to look, become MacGyvery, to look
Hmm.
for solutions. I think we're
Exactly.
teaching them how to actually navigate through life.
Hmm. And I think just the closeness that books develop between people, adults and children, and children and children, and
Yes.
that's so helpful in life. So
Yeah, definitely. So we've got these two books and then two or three more books kind of maybe in the
yeah,
works,
maybe
and like
this is what Flotsam and Jetsam looks like, just to show your listeners. And
now
it's
what does the name mean, Flotsam and Jetsam?
well, flotsam is stuff that floats up on the beach.
Ah,
It's like glass balls or trash or whatever it is, buoys or cushions or
mm,
anything. And jetsam is stuff that people throw off their boat, and it
ah,
washes up on the beach, but it's a little different category. So that was kind of the theme of it, and it was a way to take the reader in discovering about what's on the beach, and how to find it and turn over rocks and dig in the sand and do all those
that's
kind of
right.
things.
You
So
know, what was one person's garbage is somebody else's treasure.
yeah, absolutely,
Right?
especially when it comes to these big glass balls that
Mm.
those are hard to find these days,
Oh
but there
gosh,
are a few
everything's
out
plastic
there.
now, right?
Yeah,
So
right,
yeah,
right, right. They were blowing glass and they kept
yeah.
the nets up on the top of the net up on the surface, and then it hung down. So, but nobody has those anymore. So,
Mm.
um, I've got
Um,
one
yeah, oh, that's
that I found
great.
on the beach. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
there
good.
you go. Somebody's
Yeah,
treasure, right?
yeah.
And that I think is also something fantastic when you find something and it's like it looks old, and then it's the investigation to how old is it? What was it used
Hmm.
for?
Right.
That whole wonderment. Because we forget as adults, we forget to be wondrous,
Yeah,
right? And I think
exactly.
being wondrous is so very important. Keep that
Yeah,
wonderment alive and
yeah,
be on that discovery with your children. Let your children play on their own, but be a
yeah.
part of it when they find something, right? Because
Oh,
that's
yeah, for
important.
sure. Yeah, that's good. I like that part of it.
Yes, definitely. So Annette is the person that's done all the illustration for the books,
Hmm.
which is
Uh,
great.
yeah. She's a wonderful artist, and she
Mm,
works primarily in watercolors, but she's done a really good job. You can see from the
yeah,
book you've got there that
yes.
she brings Tucker to life, and that's great. We have a website
Hmm.
that's Dean and Annette Books .com, and they can go there or go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble or wherever to purchase the books. So we're trying to get out there as much as we can.
And a book is a gift that keeps on giving. A child will
Exactly.
read it over and over again,
Yeah.
and then you can
Yeah.
pass it on to either another sibling or other children, or
Yeah.
just put it away, and then one day they bring it back out again. Oh, this book, love to read it again, right? So, it is, and every
Uh,
time they read it, there's something else to be discovered. Right?
the
That's
thing.
the beauty of
Yeah.
it, because the story changes as their perception changes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a wonderful thing. I'm going to spell for people who are listening, Dean, Dean, and AAND, Annette, ANNETTE books.com. So Dean and Annette books.com. And people can reach out to you at Dean2323 at MSN.com. And of course, they can find it on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. We don't have to wait for birthdays. We don't have to wait for Christmas. A
They're
book
good
is a
anytime.
wonderful gift to give any time.
Time.
And
Absolutely.
and I know when I take this down to my grandson, he's going to love it. And because a truck, not truck. And
I guarantee you'll love it.
oh yeah, definitely. And he's really into books,
Mhm.
and then when they put him to bed, putting him to bed isn't just putting him to bed and lights out. They go out, they play with cards, bed, then read two or three books before he gets into bed,
Yeah. Yeah.
and sets him
It's
off
great.
onto slumber imagination, right? So
It's wonderful time.
it is. So please,
Yeah.
parents, take the time. I know you're busy. I know there's so many demands of you, but investing this time in your children to read and that quiet time, that special time, I guarantee you will see results over the years. That is just absolutely wonderful.
You're a wonderful resource, Sarah. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I mean, as I said, children are a soft spot for me. Uh, but it's also the inner child of someone. One of the
Yes.
problems we're having today is that so many people have lost connection with their inner child, their inner joy, their inner play. They've taken life too serious and everything's too heavy and they feel too burdened. And when you look at a child, it doesn't matter what happens to them in the moment. They have a
Mhm.
damn good cry, they're getting picked up, and off they go again. And there's a
Or
lot
the
to be learned from those children.
or the two of you have a damn good laugh. And
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah,
Learn to laugh about it. And
yeah,
that's important. We can learn so much from our children if we just get out of our own
for
way.
sure. For
So
sure.
definitely. So keep on writing. Let me know when the next books come out. Come and share
Okay.
them.
All right.
Because always good to be introducing books to the children. And thank you so much for sharing here today.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
DeanAndAnnette.com. You can get the books from there or from Amazon. And on Amazon, all you have to do is just put in Tucker and the Snowcat or the other one, Jetsam.
Flotsam and Jetsam and other beach treasures. You okay?
Thanks
Yeah.
very much. I do really
Thank
want
you.
to. Bye for now.
Thank
We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.